only sort of the existence also. If one encounter with any kind of fear, intimidation or suffering, disturbances, you would always go to someone who is more powerful than you, who has ability to sort of clarify or dispel your fears as the protection. So seeking someone's protection is called taking refuge. So seeking refuge also can be considered of two different types, like seeking refuge to the Buddhas and the Dhamma and Sangha in accordance with the viewpoint of the Buddhism, and then seeking refuge to the some higher being of the higher realm, which is not actually sort of related or associated with Buddhism. So worldly beings, those who seek refuge from someone, or those worldly beings who are terrified or they have some fears, they always seek refuge from either from like a king or some powerful people, or from divinely sort of the being like a god, in order to subvert getting rid of from the fear. Of course, that kind of actually seeking refuge under those type of beings, one would be able to eradicate. One would be able to overcome some problems or some fears, but one may not be able to eradicate all fears and problems. So, in relates with the Buddhism, again the one can consider the seeking refuge could be in two categories: that seeking refuge in accordance with Mahayana and seeking refuge in accordance with the lesser vehicle Hinayana. So whatever is the sort of the case, whether the seeking refuge is of Mahayana or Hinayana, the object of refuge is the same. They always actually look for the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha as the object of refuge. But the purpose of seeking refuge differs. There is a difference in purpose of seeking refuge. For instance, for the lesser vehicle practitioners, they always actually seek refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha due to the fear they have in their mind, and due to the sort of feeling of fat arising in their mind, and the main purpose is just to liberate oneself from this the secular existence. And then time-wise also, the lesser vehicle practitioners, they only seek refuge until life sustains, until they remain in the world.
Teba Chenbu Ninji Gone, Sanjay Yenji Tandu, Du Zeron Sonja Matok Parto, Jamlu Chegore.
Whereas in accordance with the Mahayana skill, Mahayana practitioners, they always seek refuge to Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha through compassionate means. Feeling compassion toward the sentient beings, they take refuge. And then purpose is the forsake of all sentient beings, only for not for liberating oneself only, but liberating all sentient beings from the samsara. And time-wise also, one would seek refuge to Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha until one attains the perfect enlightenment of the Buddhahood.
Jamdo de Jamnera Demba Kelemba Yinchevari Kelendom Sunje de Tarvi Lam Dangang Demba Yins Kelen Sunje di Sumbi Chu de Tarvato Lam Yins Kelen Tejan Yina Shungchu Sambanam Dene Alam to be trouble Yins Kelen but the secret.
So virtually, the seeking refuge is just sort of promising or taking a pledge, making a pledge that you would actually go under someone or under Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So how you would actually make pledge that? You would actually make pledge that one would accept Buddha as the one who guide you towards the Buddhahood, or one who show the path, and the Dhamma as the path itself, of the path through practicing which you will attain to the state of enlightenment. And then Sangha, in Sangha, in accordance with the Mahayana, then Sangha here refers to the Bodhisattvas. So Bodhisattvas are taken as the companions or friends with which actually you would go to the state of Buddhahood.
The Jamdo de Tombo Lama Chindan Damba Hugu.
So in order to do the practice of seeking refuge, also one need to receive vow from any guru.
Sonje par Damba Mombo Hujere, Damba Konga, Tombo, Jamdu Damba.
In Buddhism, of course, there are many different types of the vows that you could receive. So the vow relating with taking refuge is one of the most prominent, and which is sort of the foundation of all the vows.
Jamdu Damba Top Sadu, Jamdu Payante, Sonjeva Chapa Recha, Sonjeva Chasana, Tarbi Lam, Nelly, who were his Tarbi. Tarbi Lam.
Yes,
sir. Jamdu Kuna Sonjeva Chapa Recha, the Tanda Tarbi Lam to Cuba.
So it is explained that after having sought refuge under Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, then actually one has become sort of the one has become Buddhist, or the one who follow the Buddha's teaching. So that means that actually one has sort of the reach to the path of the Buddhism.
Yes, Jamdo Majana Neba Kairisana, Dunga let Taya Maras, Jamdo Chanatana, Dunga let Tanat, Dunga let Tarbatok to Giore.
So one may ask that what is the actually main reason of the purpose of seeking refuge? The one would, without actually seeking refuge as a sort of the foundation practice, there is no way that one can actually get rid of the sufferings or the negative emotions. But once one receive the vow of the refuge and then sought refuge then that will become actually means through which one can sort of get assistance to get rid of the suffering.
Dhamma shu tsadu sungja kakya yare te sungja la jamru che tsadu yenda satabu yenda la me suyina lam tanken yin sam choguya maras tena chudi jamru che tsadu samche nesa mechi gana na jamru che tsadu chur mekake metasur chobo she jo mare.
So there are certain precepts that one must observe after receiving the refuge vow or after seeking the refuge toward Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. So once you receive the refuge vow of seeking refuge to Buddha, from that time onwards actually you would not, or you're not supposed to take any others as the supreme guide who can lead you to the state of enlightenment. And once you have received the vow of seeking refuge toward the Dharma, then you would never engage into sort of harming others. And once you sought the refuge, the vow of Sangha, then from that time onwards you are not supposed to accompany or be friend with any people who are against to Dharma.
Shongchu nimbo chi pasa duze tringa zungde shongchu nimbo zan songje top ji pardu chamru che yin chwa.
So here as it says in a verse that Changchu Nyingbo Chijipar, that means I would seek refuge until the natural, real essence of the Buddhahood is reached.
Shabyu zobe songje nana japsu che tenba yin se kele yin se chu tejen chamru le teba chambu chu teba chambu chu la yung de yin do japsu che se songje le chamru se ba yin do lam no ru shongchu semba nana shongchu semba chu la yung de yin do songje le chamru se ba yin do japsu ru yin lam ge chobo no ru kyu yin sa.
So as it explained in the verse, it says that actually one would take refuge toward the Buddha, who has become a guide to oneself to show the actual path for getting into the enlightenment, and one would also seek refuge to the Bodhisattvas, Dharma and the Bodhisattvas.
Tena tanza sosu kumbha no temena chekon rabu no roshane tena cheba hyam ya yana hyam tena tena ya boji tula ya lubo trombo she de che tena chayur tesu sarta chayur kanchu sum namka kong yu ya sum din dan le rondo samche tam che kene jamru che ye samba chena tena jamru chorku yo.
So if you want to engage into the practice of actually taking refuge, then one would always actually go to the suitable place, either your own room or any shrine, and then sitting on a very comfortable sort of cushion or mattress, your body should be in a sort of straight and erected, and then visualizing that in front of yourself a space full of the object of refuge, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha are actually gathered together, and then just sitting in front of them, and then you should actually make sort of take refuge by reciting the verses.
그 코와 성취했던 가끔 체규지대 인간이 잡는 게 좋대. 장도 제자도 인간이 잡는 좋소래.
So one of the most grievous sort of the suffering in this misery in this world is actually not to have sort of the right protector to oneself. So once one seek refuge toward the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, then actually they become the one's protector.
다 sumba deepa hyabari deepa sangde le marap sana yemoba deso hedon timu lasube kenalon pilete yu yisung lete le megavase. So
the now actually third of the seven limb practice is the confession or the making confession of the negative things that you have done. So when we talk about the negative things, then it usually refers to the attachment, anger, and hatred, ignorant.
telepena ngobu kongala juchen soso jiore pete yendo kaso ngobu shera something dewa dunga sangede something sosu leg separes.
So whatever the things that you experience or whatever things that you encounter in this world, everything has its own source somewhere, its cause somewhere. So the cause of actually misery and suffering in this world is our own karma, the things that actually we do. So there are two types of the actions that actually one should understand. An action, the non-virtuous action and the virtuous action. So non-virtuous action refers to any action that you do under the influence of the three poisons, referring to the attachment, ignorance, and hatred. And whereas the wholesome actions or the virtuous actions are the actions which you do under the influence of any sort of the feeling which are free from those three poisons.
Pena megawa yana desogi gona suk chebano listana desog suk cheba shasa shalo babanda tandala samje seba hedong geter draseba debu sedu samje sene tele chejin cheba puna tena tori tomro samne chejin sibata samje suk jena mache sibata.
So for instance, actually the negative sort of the action, the involving into the killing somebody or someone, it also actually sort of involved with the three different kind of the negative emotions like hatred, attachment, and ignorance. So through the attachment, you would kill somebody. Because actually with the expectation to get some meat to be eaten, you would butcher or you would actually slaughter animals. So that is actually killing by the influence of the attachment. And then killing under the influence of the hatred means actually killing one's own enemy. And then killing under the influence of ignorance means killing some animal for the sacrificing animals to the name of gods, thinking or the hoping that would bring you good luck or such sort of good merit.
The Hyopa Majana Neva Kayarisana, Hyopa Majana led the Tagas Meba Junrogamari, Jazatin Devate. Dungarchi Tende Yonku. Pena control going to meet you chicken by Lavayina. The Shava Majana take Dende Navandro, we let us on Zutari.
So disclosure of the whatever the negative action that you have done, or the confession of the things that you have done, it's very important. Because if you don't actually confess the negative things that you have done, then the result always actually remains with you. So for instance, if you would say something, some bad words to anyone, under the influence of the hatred, and then that will itself actually become a cause you to be born into the hell if you don't confess it. So it is said that if you do confess the negative actions that you do, the negative actions always can be sort of purified, cleansed. So even actually you might have involved in doing a lot of negative actions constantly, but mere by just by one instant confession would purify it.
Tele Shava Tisha Diba Konga Tenten Togreson, Teleontaso Ungre, Diba Kup Chechundo, Shava Lenik, Tatu Mutu Mombo.
So having said that, then actually one would also think that all the negative actions that you do are sort of could be purified by the confession. That also depends on actually intensity of the negative action that you do, or the what sort of the confession that you do. So it depends on its sort of the levels.
Then I shop at the Layantan of Yitung, we are rich about it. San Jimba, Yandechi, the San Jimba said, Jabashiko.
So as far as concerning the confession, actually confession has to be sort of endowed with the four man attributes or qualities. So the first quality is that one must have a sort of feeling of repentance, feeling of regret for what one have done. There's the four actually attributes are also known as the four forces or four powers of the confession.
See the Jimba the Tenj top Sadu Jamrodon Samche Cheba Imbari.
So the first actually being the power of the repentance, and then second is there should be the power of object. Here it says, literary translation. So power of object means actually there need to be sort of the supreme sort of object like Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha as an object to whom you before whom you confess. Then enlightenment thought and the seeking refuge. By generating enlightenment thought and by seeking refuge also you can so third, the means to make a confession is antidotes. Just applying antidote. That means actually you engage into the wholesome actions. So fourth power of the confession is known as the irreversible confession. So that irreversible confession, that means actually no matter what things happen, you sort of making pledge that now onwards I will never sort of actually engage this type of non-virtuous action.
That's on a major sama, then Dipa Taugi.
So in brief, if you have a sort of regret towards the non-virtuous action that you have done before, and at the same time, if you make a pledge that you would never sort of repeat this kind of the non-virtuous action in later, so this could be the sort of force which will help you to purify the for all negative actions that you have done.
Shunung kana yubaye zosong jedo. Shu kendu yubi zobi songje shongchu samba tuje chembo ngawa tenamla shuya ye chebde husa tenamla tena namjul tamujarte gubi namjul chene solvasana huwa puju ye chebde.
So now we go back to the verse in a text. It says that actually for making confession, first you make supplication to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, and making a supplication, just putting your hands together at heart, clasping hands with very respectful manner, then saying that the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, who are sort of embodiment of the compassion and kindness, please heed to me or listen to me.
Tuma made their cowardice and Dipa Yanjimbo saw a rich about it. Neso Penassamchin second the 10 Lesadu Shuamare. The Yan Sheva Tonkan to say to Tonka Yomare. Tuma Junameba, Tonka Junamebane, Shun Devaris. The ring Kungali Dipa saw Devaris. Tuma made them corvanes, Seram Devon, Sten Devon, you're not saying Tevangamanam Su, Tenetipa Sova insulin.
So what the things that you confess actually before the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, the negative actions that you have done, not only in this lifetime, but here in verse it says that from the beginningless time, the all numerous lives you have taken in this cyclic existence. So the human life that we have now is not actually just one time, or this is not only sort of itself or it's a new, but it has a source into the past. We have taken numerous, incountable lives in past times. And then each time we have taken a life, then we have sort of indulged into the numerous negative actions. So those numerous negative actions we have done, one is confessing here.
Masar Dipasha, she be you can't the Yamumba, do some conrure, Masar Sana Timu. Lakan de chena social pain to a nature in Hamagona, but the Mugi Dipa Jiba, wrong Musu Jiba, so Japata, Dipa wrong Jiba, Yen Ji Sene, Jitu Sarava Nito, Jipari, wrong Sheba, Yen Se Chuba, Jipari, Niba. Tell Maze, Timu True as a young Timugu Wongi. Da Sirjine, Timu Kerong Sam Sirjine, Dipa Yandati, Dipa Shabala, Sam Gabo Shebate, Jesu Yeron Sagir, Rong Dipa Shananda, Yang Dipa Shananda, Jesu Yeron Shanayon, Dipa Yombo Togai, Gong Jipas, Cheton Sumle, Rong Sheba, Yang Chet Juba, Yang Shabala, Jesu Yeron Sheba, Teta. Nomba sana jam nieba de nya tong songs shaba chedu nieba de tong ku ye ba ne de samba ni topi to ne ngambo song je de shong chu samba no ne shaba she yes.
So now this verse explains that actually how you would make a confession. So here it says that under the influence of ignorance, unknowingly, one might have done so many non-virtuous things, actions, evil things by oneself, and then ask other to do, or encourage other to do, to perform non-virtuous actions. Or even if one has not encouraged other to do, but rejoicing what others have done, and even overcoming sort of one's mind by the again actually by the ignorance. If you have done anything and let others, from the depth of one's heart, one would making a confession in front of the protectors or lords or Buddhas.
Pena dipa rong she yana che tu chu je su rong che ba sum chi ba yim ba te ma za yen dipa sa ne te ba phu na yo ti ni ba yim ba ge wa chi ba rong she yana che tu chu che ba la je su rong che na ge wa nyom bo te ba phu na mi gyan da ge wa che ya ba shun tu so te ba phu na ge wa nyom bo to ge.
So either it is non-virtuous, the virtuous action, that the action which is done by oneself and then let others to do, or rejoice the actions which has done by others, are of sort of the same kind of result, because they yield the same result. Even if that action is not done by oneself, but rejoicing or letting others to do bears the same result. Even if you praise someone after knowing that someone has done something wrong, then that is the same as actually performing the non-virtuous action by oneself.
Tate ke dipa ke kanhong to ngobu go na yimbare. Ta dipa salsa ke yurg to ne kere ne. Da ki dipa salsa ke yurg kancho sumdong. Pano ma rong le chu kye ngenge lama te membi samje yanda la kanhong nyemo bi go ne. Tene lubo ke ne ba she. Ngao ke tsi tubo me sam ke ne sam shebi ne ba ji ba gong lo ba nye ba to me chen cho bi di de nga di ba chen yin se nye ba to mi chen ye sum ba di chen da ke di ba gong hindu me ze sana di ba de te ga se kyo ba ma je ga ga na din re bu hindu zebar minu bi du ngar chi to ge res Hindu zel mutuk bi dungar rev dungar ki juj sebate tamche jibate tamche diba yongzo samche tamche kin remba zobi sonje zelon cheba la kyoba shibi.
So after here, regarding the confession, we are dealing with sort of the what sort of the motivations that you bear in your mind for making compassion and the nature of the compassion. Now we'll deal with the objects upon which, actually, through which you sort of accumulate the non-virtue, or through the objects through to the help of which you make a confession. So here, actually, in the verse says that under the influence of the sort of the disturbed state of mind, or whatever the non-virtuous action that I might have done through my physical body, through my speech, saying something, bad word to others, or through my mind, actually, harboring evil thoughts to others, and then especially these negative actions done to the Tripajam, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and one's parents and one's the masters, So these unbearable sort of non-virtuous actions which has an unbearable result, I would actually confess in front of the Supreme Guide.
Tene dipa kya gogre den joba kya gogre sana te kya goche bala da dipa marjong ba ngam du ngumbarin jutu che dele chetan dele nge tar ki nyuri chuji cha tu so tene da dipa marjong kya ba che ma tu bara di ngam du kya ba che bi ngam du ngumbar sa kibarin jutu che heya do kya ba che ya ni tene kia ngendu lebun sigre jeba jeta chitara dipandele dipinde dungamdele ngebar tharawa chi nyuri turji njoba chena tata nid tene chaptu sur sheba dipa thoba nuru.
So of course it is certain that one need to confess the negative actions that one has done, but one would think that is it actually sort of time that you must do it now only, then in the verse it says that actually yes, because even before actually having a sort of the chances to purify the negative actions, one might actually perish or one might die anytime. So because of that, then one should confess the negative actions very swiftly and a very sort of a quick manner without actually losing time.
Tene diba shaba ina re teme chokar ina tatu shegu re shebare mamba ngandu higuna tene tabhi megen chogre.
So it's whether it's be making confession of the non-virtuous action or it's be any type of the sort of performance of the virtuous action, you would always do it in the time and swiftly before it becomes late.
Yiten mirun chidan desi chida sangi sok chungin jiyore tele yiten ya maris pena dantao chigi nondu chida ki jetiga nga saig maris sansam tende ki yiten she tubya ya maris yiten mirun chidan de tene shaba tabu she tawari she ne tene chida ki saya to she meri she ne tene guru she maris gune mede shepato majepar samne chidate gune mede bena nado mena kenji chung lobru chala yimete nepare sana shiwado mena ore sana mihibi nge pa yamares tena nasa menayo mihibi yiten ya maresu chata nado mena kenji chung yitemez kala yitemez na lobrutse lobrusana nebar hiya imba chilse sendri yiten amares nepa yena mnawa yena dipa shot sawa yena ma showa yena su yena yiten amare tena joku gres.
One should act very quickly as far as concerning the performance of sort of confessing the negative actions, because it says that the life is sort of uncertainty, because the Lord of the days are the untrustworthy. They may come anytime, they may approach anytime to snatch your life from you, and they won't wait thinking that you have not done your job now, or you have not confessed your negative action now, I'll leave you now. Or no, they actually would sort of wait by thinking that, okay, you have done or you have confessed your negative actions now. And there's no difference whether you are sick or healthy now. there's no certainty that actually healthy people will live long, or just sick people will die earlier or before. So the life itself is actually very impermanent and the fleeting. So therefore, one may not actually sort of rely upon the life itself.
통제 보드 차그네 다다 예비 선체에서 차그는 소소소소 전에 되네 라도 이 탐체 보네 롱이 좀바 롱바 연다치는 거봐 다기 때는 마히바야 말때 somno마동에 제 som노동나 거가버 라버리데 som노마동비 온게 자와도 맨자비탄지 시르도 자와를 펜다 맨자와를 내바치비 단도 디파 넘버 나초바 디파 남다 몸부치에서 무치
So because of not knowing or not actually sort of giving your thought on what would happen, one didn't understand that one has to sort of set out from this secular existence or this world, leaving everything behind. And because of that, and then you have done sort of the wholesome things for your friends, and then unwholesome things or bad things for your foes or enemies. So through which you have accumulated a lot of vice, a lot of sins.
자완놈 좀 메이들기 그러면서 놈 좀 메이들 문자가 자오 메바 처로 신도 그래서 자와 주보도 희에도 니 공가요 메바 적신에 메반도 그래서 나좀 희에 메반도 그래 대인도 선제 탐제 다티 선제 탐제 누원이도 요보체네 신도 그래요 그래서 제가 되는 단도 디파서버데 타이메리스
So it is. It further explains in a verse that those to whom you have no sort of the conducive, sort of favorable relations, like your friends, they also cease to exist in this world, and then your friends also cease to exist. And yourself, of course, you will cease to exist. I mean, you won't remain here for permanently. And then because of that, since everything, I mean, your friends, foes, and yourself will cease to exist, there is no sort of the purpose that you should actually accumulate non-virtuous action by doing good things to your friends and bad things to your enemies.
Malam nyamsu nyumagi, malam nondo ji devandao nyum jibo shung samna, di nyam nyonte, malam nyam nyonte, ni sebikana, ya marecha, pete kindu, lobo kondo kong sheba, tata nebi yanten tabo, kong sheba, kong ba yawon, jalo yawon, kong, long sheba, teronte, jema, jambi yurtunju, jamba tam, nyamantele shung sonso remember. 통야 용해요 말이죠. 내가 통제 무슨 통 민주를 제가 되네 자기도 내빌롱 셋은 괜찮지 못해 때문에
So just as the dream that you experience, I mean, during your sleep, once you awaken from your sleep, you cannot enjoy it. So in a similar way, the good things that you experience, like essential pleasure or whatever, or the bad things that you do, that will just become a memory one day. And then past whatever you have done, that won't be actually seen in the sort of the future. So pondering upon these things, then one would know that, one should know that so that everything is essenceless.
자자지 다도 다도 주의하는 뭐 녀보 then hand of Gina, call me one of you. There's only job I can hold yours. There's no time to stay with deeper, there's only so you the top of the deposit is.
So if you can associate with your friends for a very long time or for permanently, of course actually there are always a reason for you to be friend with them and remain with them all the time. But that is not the case because you won't be able to actually remain with them all the time. Anyway, sooner or later you have to just apart from them. The only thing which actually remain with you is the sort of the result of the non-virtuous actions or the result of the virtuous action that remains with you. Okay, shall we stop here?
In terms of outline, it is the ritual how to take the Bodhisattva vow.
Tene dambi choga tele joro ugi jisum yevim tombo joro kaptele yanla demba chipato lojung kamba igno yanla demba chipka yanla den chipka.
So, within the Bodhisattva vow, there are three outlines: preparatory phase, actual phase, and ending phase. And this is the first preparatory phase. Within the preparatory, there are two outlines. The first one is 7 limb prayers, and second one is a practice of lojong. Within the 7 limbs, third one, confession.
Rehi sanchen dinila mzato manzato ande tera tandu shebi di meza kohin danane rehi de tati kap suim tati kanayo tata sembi kanayo sembi dinila yo mzato manzato ma that's our res zamanza tera tandu shebi susu shebi diba meza kohin bate Zamanza tenong Jesus masum sosu nan let the goodness there is.
If you have the Brahmagara translation book, it's number 37, verse number 37. At this time when we are alive, with this present lifetime, we have close ones and distant ones, and all of them, many of our close ones and distant ones pass away, and whatever unwholesome actions that we engage for them has been within us. So the karma or action that we engage for them is waiting for us.
They can receive you.
So, the meaning of how action remains within us is that whenever we do any wholesome actions, such as doing prostration, the action itself ceases, it stops at the time, but the seed of the action remains within our subtle consciousness. So the continuum of the wholesome action remains within us.
Tētā tānu lōbru ki dāg tōpar māñchurupē, sōndu dā lōbru wā, shindō chū yinpā. Tē dāg tōpar māñchuru kēgi yore tēle tūjā chiwā tu sōmna mātōng. Tī chēmbē, chiwā mātēmī chēmbē, tīmū tōng, dāshā tōng, kē tōng sōng kī kēnā lōng bī, kēnā lōng tē. Dīpa nāmbā tōngā shē, nāmbā tōngā sā Tene luci gone, ngāgi gone, yiji gone, mīkhe wā chūtā dīpa mōmbō shē wā hīns.
So, our life is very sudden or transient, but we have not realized that our life is very transient, and in other words, we are not able to remember or recollect the teaching of impermanence. Therefore, we engage with many various unwholesome actions through our own hatred, attachment, and ignorance. The meaning of various unwholesome action relates to our physical unwholesome actions and verbal unwholesome action and mental unwholesome actions.
Nyenchen deba yom mepa, tsente tautu kēn churji. Sosu tsete, tene Pombo mai ngā tu chepa na zung te tse ti tu na chide ki yores sosu tse rin tu kasa jeba ina di tse te mai ngā na zam te tene nyen du tse nyen ka le minrip ne deba yong zao ne meba rara tene sosu tse rin tu ka ina te nyen tse tao tu kebaran jurki Tele nemba yena yo kana che chule te rinru tong chule te nemba yema res nemba kuki na o mena tene da bu chiwara jimi jute ngebar chino be res.
So our present life constantly slips by or passes by, and there's no additional lifespans occur with us, and therefore it is why we won't die. In other words, our death is sudden.
Tene niki mombo tanda soso diba sawayana di pinjaba te soso long non member. So,
going back a little bit, which I forgot to mention, since we had a conception at the mother's womb, our life has been constantly changing, and life never delays, so life has been changing constantly, and there is no additional lifespan that we gather while we continue our life. The next
Don mannan dukin do niki kinji takurchu.
Naso.
So chepa trova da doni chibinyochu.
Naso.
Doni masa se nesa tama nesa jemandre. Tenan dukin do ishirap cheju. Niki kinji niki ye zage takonna denayo. So chebi trova so chedu dena necheju duhansedu. Kambaru rubo samala su duha trouble yimba ti sorma madewate dani jibu nyon joy member ti duha te yanda to go ha che ju ya.
So Just before that, I forgot another one. Whatever actions that we engage for our close ones, our loved ones, the results of the unwholesome action that we have engaged will ripen on us, and there is no way to distribute between us and our loved ones. And then verse number 40, according to this book, while we are waiting for our last minute, or at the dying process, the final dying process, we will be, even we are surrounded by our close ones, and the dying process, the emotions or feelings of dying process, such as the changing of internal elements, feeling very dry mouth or thirst, so forth. All those experience will be experienced only by us and not by others.
Khenchen Appey Rinpoche Nyenji Chöpen Hyechipen Khenchen Appey Khenchen Sami Jarung Te Ngabi Ponya Nang Sing Sedu Shiru Tsana Khenchen Appey Nang Kel Tapatak Jamna Toa Dong Shene Lamgo Serma Yanken Doro Mumbu Yanken Tesol Kumba Hyogen Trinlo Yesundu Jagari Javachi Tena Khenchen Appey Sinte Trinlo Gapsu Nyenji Chöpen Nyenji Nyeri Hitsana Chobo Te Sukung Peng Mares Ona Te Su Peng Sana Sanam Geva Chibu Sosu Shebi Sanam Chibu Te Japsu Bari Te Pen Togi Yana Pen Toyag Sanam Te Dog Matan Te Dog Madruba Yens and Java Sig.
The messengers of the Lord of the Dead, when we are gripped by or held by the messengers of death of Lord, at that time, then we won't receive any help or assistance from our relatives, nor from our friends. Rinpoche has seen one commentary, Indian commentary, how the messengers of Lord of Death influence or impact for the dying person, that the dying person has an image that the neck would be hanged, and there are also tortures and traumas experienced by the dying person. During such time, the one thing that will protect us or benefit us is our merits, in other words, wholesome actions. And that action we have not engaged or have not accumulated. So therefore we feel regret not engaging with wholesome actions. So the meaning of how our relatives are not beneficial for us is it's not that they don't benefit or help us. They do help when we are alive, forming a relationship or friendship and helping each other. But what it means is that when we die, then at that time, then our loved ones, our relatives, may not able to or cannot help for us when we die, and during that time, we cannot distribute our dying process, the suffering of dying process between ourselves and our relatives, and also we cannot fight, and we cannot fight with the messengers of the Lord of Death. So therefore, our relatives are not beneficial during our deathbed. And there is a sutra which says that this king, when the king dies, there is no benefit except engaging with the Dharma, or without engaging with Dharma, there is no benefits for the king when king dies, and the only thing that helps or benefits and protects